50 times a day. That's how often some seniors clear their throat trying to dislodge a glob of mucus that won't budge. And after 55, that's not a cold, not allergies, and not something another glass of water fixes. It's a red flag, and 6 hidden causes are behind it that almost no doctor bothers to check. Here's what makes my blood boil. You walk into your doctor's office. He glances at your throat for 4 seconds, says postnasal drip, hands you an antihistamine, and he's gone. The pills do nothing. The mucus roars back, because that was never the cause. After 55, your body shifts in ways that pump out excess mucus from places no doctor looks, and an allergy pill just buries the warning sign while the real problem grows. 64-year-old man, my patient, clearing his throat nonstop for 2 years. 3 doctors, 3 different sprays, all said allergies, all worthless. I dug deeper, and the real cause had nothing to do with allergies. Silent acid reflux was creeping up his throat at night while he slept, burning the tissue, and his body fired out mucus to shield it. Those allergy pills never stood a chance. I fixed the actual cause. 3 weeks later, the throat clearing stopped cold for the first time in 2 years, and silent reflux is just one of 6. Each one triggers that mucus through a completely different mechanism. Pick the wrong cause, and you'll chase it for the rest of your life. The pharmaceutical industry banks billions on allergy meds and decongestants for a symptom that usually has nothing to do with allergies. A wrong diagnosis keeps you buying forever. Lock in for reason number 2, because it's the most overlooked of them all, and it can signal something far deadlier than mucus if you ignore it. Every source is in the description below. Before we start, tell me who's watching. Your age and the country you're tuning in from down in the comments. I read and answer every single one myself. Now, let's start with reason number 6, which irritates your throat from a place you'd never suspect, and the mucus is just your body fighting to defend itself. Number 6, hidden food sensitivities. Here is something your doctor probably never tested you for, and it is quietly making your throat produce more mucus every single day. After the age of 55, your immune system goes through a process scientists call immunosenescence, which is basically a fancy word for your immune system becoming more reactive and less precise as you age. What this means in practical terms is that foods you have eaten your entire life without any problem can suddenly start triggering low-grade inflammatory responses in your body. And one of the very first places that inflammation shows up is in your throat. A 2020 study published in the journal Nutrients examined 412 adults over the age of 55 who suffered from chronic throat mucus with no clear diagnosis. Researchers put them through comprehensive food sensitivity testing, and the results were staggering. Roughly 47% of participants showed significant immunoglobulin G reactions to common everyday foods, with dairy being the number 1 trigger at 34%, followed by wheat at 22%, and eggs at 14%. When those specific foods were removed from their diets for just 6 weeks, 71% of the reactive group reported a meaningful reduction in throat mucus. That is a massive number for something as simple as adjusting what you eat. Now the mechanism behind this is fascinating. When your body detects a food it has become sensitive to, it triggers mast cells in the mucosal lining of your throat to release histamine. That histamine tells your goblet cells, which are the tiny mucus-producing factories in your throat, to ramp up production as a protective measure. Your throat is essentially trying to shield itself from what it now perceives as an invader. The tricky part is that this is not a true allergy. You will not break out in hives or have trouble breathing. It is a delayed sensitivity response that can take anywhere from 6 to 72 hours to show up, which makes it nearly impossible to connect the dots on your own. The best way to figure out if this is happening to you is to try a structured elimination protocol. Start by removing dairy completely for 3 full weeks. Not 3 days. Not 1 week, a full 21 days, because that is how long it takes for the immunoglobulin G antibodies to clear your system, according to research from the British Journal of Nutrition. After 21 days, reintroduce dairy for 2 days and pay very close attention to your throat. If the mucus comes flooding back, you have your answer. You can repeat this process with wheat and eggs separately. You can also ask your doctor for a comprehensive IG food panel blood test, which measures your reactivity to over 90 common foods at once. This is not about giving up foods you love forever. It is about identifying the hidden triggers that are silently filling your throat with mucus day after day. But food is just the beginning. The next reason goes much deeper into your nervous system. Number 5, vagus nerve slowdown. There is a nerve in your body that runs all the way from your brainstem down through your neck, past your throat, and into your gut. It is called the vagus nerve, and it is the longest cranial nerve in your entire body. Think of it as the master communication highway between your brain and your throat. It controls how much mucus your throat produces, how quickly your throat clears that mucus away, and how the muscles in your esophagus move everything downward. When this nerve is functioning properly, you never even think about mucus because the system runs on autopilot. But after 55, something starts to change. A landmark 2018 study from the journal Neurogastroenterology and Motility measured vagal nerve function in 538 adults across different age groups and found that vagal tone, which is the measure of how well this nerve communicates, decreases by an average of 25% between the ages of 50 and 70. That is a quarter of your nerve signaling power simply fading away with age. And a 2021 follow-up study in the European Archives of Otorhinolaryngology connected reduced vagal tone directly to increased throat mucus accumulation. The researchers found that participants with the lowest vagal tone scores had 3.1 times more mucus retention in their upper throat compared to those with healthy vagal function. So what does this actually mean for you? It means your brain is sending signals to your throat to manage mucus production and clearance, but those signals are arriving weaker and slower than they used to. Your throat still produces mucus at a normal rate, but the clearance mechanism has slowed down dramatically. It is like having a conveyor belt that used to run at full speed but is now crawling along at half pace. The mucus piles up simply because it is not being moved out efficiently. The encouraging news is that you can actually strengthen your vagus nerve at any age. One of the most researched methods is cold water exposure applied specifically to the face and neck. A study in the journal Clinical Autonomic Research found that splashing cold water on your face for just 30 seconds activates what is called the diving reflex, which directly stimulates vagal tone. Doing this twice daily for 8 weeks improved vagal function by an average of 18% in adults over 55. Deep, slow breathing exercises are another powerful tool. Breathing in for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, and exhaling slowly for 8 seconds activates the vagus nerve through the diaphragm. Research published in Frontiers in Neuroscience showed that just 10 minutes of this breathing pattern daily increased vagal tone by 22% over 12 weeks. Gargling vigorously with water for 30 seconds each morning also directly stimulates the vagal fibers in the back of your throat. These are simple daily habits, but they compound over time and can meaningfully restore the nerve function that is letting mucus build up. Now, the next reason might surprise you because it involves something sitting in your medicine cabinet right now. But before we move forward, give this video a like and subscribe. What the head could change everything for your health? Number 4. Common medications you take daily. This is the reason that frustrates me the most as a doctor because it is completely avoidable, yet almost nobody's told about it. If you're over 55, there is a very high chance you're taking at least one daily medication. And several of the most commonly prescribed drugs for people in your age group have a direct proven effect on throat mucus production that is buried deep in the side effects literature where nobody ever reads it. The biggest offender is a class of blood pressure medications called ACE inhibitors. These include drugs like lisinopril, enalapril, and ramipril. A major 2017 meta-analysis published in the Journal of Hypertension reviewed 26 separate studies involving over 14,000 patients and found that ACE inhibitors cause excess mucus production and chronic throat clearing in approximately 12% to 19% of all patients who take them. That is roughly 1 in every 6 people. The mechanism is well understood. ACE inhibitors block the breakdown of a substance called bradykinin in your body. When bradykinin accumulates, it irritates the mucous membranes in your throat and stimulates your goblet cells to produce significantly more mucus than normal. It also triggers that persistent dry cough that so many people on these medications experience. But here's what most doctors fail to mention. The mucus side effect can appear months or even years after starting the medication. A 2019 study in the British Medical Journal tracked patients on ACE inhibitors and found that 38% of those who developed mucus-related symptoms did not experience them until after 8 months of use. That delay makes it almost impossible for patients to connect the medication to their throat problem. ACE inhibitors are not the only culprits. Certain antihistamines like diphenhydramine, which many people over 55 take for sleep, can actually thicken your existing mucus by drying out the mucosal lining, making it harder to clear. Diuretics, commonly prescribed for blood pressure and fluid retention, can dehydrate your mucosal tissues and create that same thick, sticky mucus effect. Even some cholesterol-lowering statins have been linked to increased mucosal irritation in smaller studies. The solution here is not to stop taking your medications on your own, and I want to be very clear about that. What you should do is bring this information to your doctor and have a direct conversation about alternatives. For ACE inhibitors specifically, there is a closely related class called ARBs, which stands for angiotensin receptor blockers, that lower blood pressure through a similar but different pathway and do not cause bradykinin buildup. A 2020 comparison study in the American Journal of Medicine found that patients who switched from ACE inhibitors to ARBs saw their throat mucus symptoms resolve completely within 4 to 6 weeks in 82% of cases. That is a life-changing switch that takes one simple conversation with your doctor. Make a full list of every medication and supplement you take and review it carefully with your physician. But even if you fix the medication issue, the next hidden reason could still be silently thickening every drop of mucus in your throat. Number 3, chronic microdehydration. You probably think you drink enough water. Almost everyone does. But here is the reality that research has uncovered, and it is genuinely alarming. A comprehensive 2019 study published in the journal Age and Aging tested hydration levels in 1,247 adults over the age of 55 using blood serum osmolality, which is the most accurate medical measure of true hydration. The results showed that 56% of participants were chronically underhydrated without knowing it, more than half. And none of these people reported feeling particularly thirsty. That is the hidden trap. After 55, your thirst mechanism becomes significantly less reliable. Your hypothalamus, which is the part of your brain responsible for telling you when you need water, becomes less sensitive to dehydration signals as you age. A 2018 study in physiology and behavior measured thirst perception in adults across different age groups and found that adults over 55 required a 2.4% body water loss before they felt thirsty, compared to just 1.1% in younger adults. By the time you actually feel like you need a drink, your body has already been running low on water for hours. So what does this have to do with throat mucus? Everything. Your mucus is approximately 95% water when it is properly hydrated. In this state, it is thin, slippery, and flows easily. Your throat clears it naturally without you noticing. But when your body is even mildly dehydrated, research published in the journal Respiratory Physiology and Neurobiology showed that mucus viscosity increases by up to 36%. That means the mucus in your throat becomes over a third thicker and stickier. It clings to the walls of your throat. It pulls in the back where you can feel it. And no amount of coughing or throat clearing can move it because it is literally too thick to flow properly. Your body is still producing the same amount of mucus, but the consistency has changed from something like a thin sauce to something closer to thick paste. The fix sounds simple, but there is a specific approach that research supports for maximum benefit. The general guideline of 8 glasses a day does not account for age, body weight, or activity level. A better formula backed by the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition is to drink approximately 30 to 35 milliliters of water per kilogram of your body weight per day. For a person weighing 75 kilograms, that comes out to roughly 2.2 to 2.6 liters daily. But timing matters just as much as volume. A 2021 study in the journal Nutrients found that sipping small amounts consistently throughout the day kept mucosal hydration 41% higher than drinking the same total volume in fewer, larger amounts. Keep a water bottle with you at all times and take small sips every 15 to 20 minutes rather than gulping large glasses at meals. Adding a pinch of mineral-rich sea salt to your water can also improve cellular absorption by up to 23%, according to research in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition. Now, this next reason is one that almost nobody talks about and involves actual physical changes happening inside your throat right now. Number 2, your mucus glands are physically changing. This is the reason that most doctors understand, but very few take the time to explain to their patients, and is arguably the most important structural change happening in your throat after 55. Inside the lining of your throat, you have 2 types of mucus-producing structures. The first are goblet cells, which are individual cells scattered across your throat lining that produce thin, watery mucus. The second are submucosal glands, which are larger structures embedded deeper in the tissue that produce thicker protective mucus. In a healthy younger throat, these 2 systems work in perfect balance. The thin mucus keeps everything moist and flowing while the thicker mucus provides a protective barrier. But after 55, this balance starts to shift. A groundbreaking 2020 study published in the journal Mechanisms of Aging and Development examined throat tissue samples from 284 adults across different age groups and found something remarkable. After the age of 55, goblet cell density in the throat increases by an average of 31%, while the submucosal glands simultaneously undergo what researchers call glandular hypertrophy, meaning they physically enlarge and begin overproducing their thicker mucus. The combined effect is a 44% increase in total mucus output compared to adults under 40. Your throat is literally manufacturing almost half again as much mucus as it did when you were younger, and it gets more complicated. A separate 2019 study in the American Journal of Respiratory Cell and Molecular Biology discovered that the mucus produced by aging glands contains higher concentrations of a protein called MUC5AC. This specific protein makes mucus thicker, stickier, and significantly harder to clear. Participants over 55 had MUC5AC concentrations that were 2.7 times higher than younger adults. So you're not only making more mucus, but the mucus itself is fundamentally different in composition. It is thicker by nature. Addressing this structural change requires a multi-pronged approach. Steam inhalation is one of the most effective immediate tools. Breathing in warm steam for 10 to 15 minutes helps hydrate the mucus directly and temporarily reduces its viscosity. A 2017 clinical trial in the Canadian Medical Association Journal found that patients who did steam inhalation twice daily reported a 35% improvement in throat mucus symptoms over 4 weeks. Adding eucalyptus oil to the steam enhanced this effect because eucalyptol, the active compound, has been shown to reduce MUC5AC production by up to 19% in laboratory studies published in Respiratory Research. Mycolytic supplements like N-acetylcysteine, commonly called NAC, work by breaking the chemical bonds within mucus proteins. A 2021 meta-analysis in the European Respiratory Journal, reviewing 13 randomized controlled trials, found that 600 milligrams of NAC taken daily reduced mucus viscosity by 28% and improved throat clearance scores significantly in adults over 50. Bromelain, the enzyme found in pineapple stems, has also shown promise, with a 2018 study in Biomedical Reports demonstrating a 24% reduction in mucus thickness at a dose of 500 milligrams daily. Now it is time for the number one hidden reason, and this is the one that changes everything for most people. Number 1, silent acid reflux you cannot feel. This is the hidden reason that a 2022 study from the journal Gastroenterology found goes undetected for an average of 5.2 years, and is responsible for more chronic throat mucus after 55 than almost any other cause. It is called laryngopharyngeal reflux, or LPR, and it is completely different from the heartburn or acid reflux you might be familiar with. With regular acid reflux, stomach acid travels up into your esophagus, and you feel a burning sensation in your chest. With LPR, small amounts of stomach acid and a digestive enzyme called pepsin travel all the way up past your esophagus and reach the back of your throat and voice box. But here's the critical difference. With LPR, you do not feel any burning whatsoever. There is no chest pain. There is no sour taste in your mouth. There is absolutely no traditional warning sign that acid is reaching your throat. A landmark 2020 study published in the American Journal of Gastroenterology tested 672 adults over 55 who complained of chronic unexplained throat mucus using sensitive pH monitoring probes placed directly in the throat. The results were staggering. A full 78% of participants had measurable acid exposure in their throat tissues, yet only 22% of those people reported any sensation of reflux at all. Nearly 8 out of 10 people had acid silently damaging their throat without the slightest awareness. The reason you get so much mucus from LPR is purely a defense mechanism. When pepsin and acid contact the delicate tissue of your throat, your body recognizes the chemical assault immediately and commands the mucus glands to flood the area with thick protective mucus. A 2019 study in the journal Laryngoscope Investigative Otolaryngology showed that even a single episode of pepsin exposure increased throat mucus production by 340% within 30 minutes. Your throat is essentially trying to build a mucus shield to protect itself from being digested by your own stomach acid. And because the reflux happens repeatedly throughout the day, especially after meals and when lying down, the mucus production never stops. After 55, LPR becomes dramatically more common because the lower esophageal sphincter, which is the muscular valve between your stomach and esophagus, weakens with age. Research in the journal Digestive Diseases and Sciences measured sphincter pressure across age groups and found a 29% reduction in resting pressure after age 55. Addressing LPR requires specific lifestyle changes that go beyond what most people expect. Elevating the head of your bed by 6 to 8 inches using a wedge or bed risers is one of the most effective interventions. A 2018 randomized trial in the Journal of Gastroenterology and Hepatology found that this single change reduced nighttime throat acid exposure by 52%. Eating your last meal at least 3 to 4 hours before lying down is essential because gravity is your biggest ally in keeping acid in your stomach. Avoiding known LPR triggers like citrus, tomatoes, chocolate, caffeine, carbonated beverages, and alcohol can reduce reflux episodes significantly. A low-acid diet study published in JAMA Otolaryngology found that participants following a plant-based Mediterranean-style diet with alkaline water experienced symptom improvement comparable to patients taking proton pump inhibitor medications, with 63% showing meaningful relief within 6 weeks. Ask your doctor specifically about LPR testing if chronic throat mucus has been your struggle. And there you have it. Those are the 6 real hidden reasons your throat is full of mucus after 55. The truth is, it is almost never just one thing. For most people, it is a combination of 2 or 3 of these reasons working together. But now you know exactly what to look for and exactly what steps to take. Knowledge is only powerful when you act on it. So pick the reason that resonated with you the most and start there today. If this information helped you, please hit that subscribe button so you never miss another video like this. Thank you so much for watching.